Hello, my name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Podcast. Today we got on the show, we have Shelley Walters with FC Tucker, Kyle Morris with FC Tucker, and Justin Griffith with Keller Williams, Indy Metro Northeast.
It's a long title.
It's a long title. But hey, Shelley, how you doing? I haven't seen you for a couple weeks. Tell me what's going on in your world.
Doing great. Just business seems to be getting a little bit stronger. There's more activity a little bit, but it doesn't show in the stats, so I don't know.
I know, but Shelley, you're always busy on the phone all the time. All you guys are. I mean, it seems like there is some business around here, but what are you seeing in the market right now, Shelley, in your neck of the woods?
Well, it's funny.
I'm not supposed to say that, I don't think, because I think that's Al Roker's saying, in your neck of the woods.
I just actually heard a little comment in the office I thought was kind of funny is we're back doing inspections. So I just, inspections are back. Lots of things are back. We're getting more concessions for our buyers, which is good, a little bit more normalcy. But Brian Buffini did his bold predictions yesterday, and we are looking to move into a totally different market very soon. So we'd like to talk about that as well.
Kyle.
Tony.
Were you in that meeting yesterday on Brian Buffini?
I was not. I was dealing with the chaos of what happens when you go on vacation in this industry.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, your business is still going. Thank God you're getting a lot of phone calls, right?
I picked up 4 while I was on vacation. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we listed a bunch right before I left. So
Justin, and how's your traffic in your world doing? I know you've had a couple difficult deals.
I have. We're adapting to the new inventory and market. Yeah. That is, and our processes.
Okay.
Well, that was really good. That was like a politician. That was really
right.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's a lot of politics.
He's starting
days.
to look like one of those guys on Meet the Nation or whatever it is.
I'd vote for him. I'd vote for him.
Anyway, Kyle, what are you seeing in the marketplace right now?
It's odd. I feel like it's different from the beginning of summer, quite honestly. So, I mean,
It really is. It's funny you say that, but it is.
Yeah, I see a little bit over list, but very minimally. Things are selling quickly. But back to like kind of what Shelley was talking about, I feel like it's normalizing within the transaction, if that makes sense. I'm seeing concessions both ways a little bit. We're getting these high prices, but we're not getting disproportionately high. We're doing a lot of, we've always been doing inspections as to whether we are asking for things, if that makes sense. And that's come back. And I just feel like it's been a little bit more amicable both ways, if that more like what it was like 5 years ago versus the seller had all the leverage, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just been a little bit more desirable, honestly, to be a part of.
Well, with the market the way it is and what you learned yesterday, Shelley, it looks like what people don't understand, and I said this to Justin yesterday, it is an opportunity to buy a house right now. Even though the interest rates are high, you are going to see the home prices probably within 24 months or less start to increase again, don't you think?
Well, with Brian Buffini's conversations was
exactly
what they were really talking about is
buy the house and date the rate is what I'm trying to say right now.
Huge right now, but the main thing is talking about the question continually. People are like sitting on the fence. Why are you sitting on the fence? For buyers is one reason, and sellers is another reason. But if you're sitting on the fence, some people have a fear that we're still going to have some type of a housing crash. So one of the conversations he was having is how that's physically impossible.
And I agree with that.
Just to quickly say how that's physically impossible, 2008 was a financial crisis, not just anything. That was something major. So if we have something major happen like that, what caused
anything
that,
can happen, right?
Right, but what caused that was something that they don't even think is even possible, because right now, here's the stats, and they did a ton of research, which he does every year. Brian Buffini has his bold predictions once a year and is almost always spot on. 39% of all homeowners in the United States are free and clear of a mortgage. 29% have 50% more equity than non-equity, I should say, but 68% of all homes have that much equity, either 100% to 50%. So of 68%, having that huge foreclosure problem that we had in 2008 is not physically possible. And that's what caused our crash back then. Mm-hmm. We want to call it a crash. So there's not a huge amount of foreclosures coming. So just that, if that's in your brain, We aren't seeing that happen. We're not going to see these prices drop. So buyers who are sitting and waiting for the reasons of interest rates are high, let's wait for prices to
Going
stabilize
higher,
and
too.
go down.
Yeah, they are going to go
Right.
higher.
Right.
We got 2 more price hikes coming, but they're probably quarters. It's and it's half of it's already built into the market. Okay, so but you're exactly right on point, Shelley.
Well, he was, and so I'm just saying some stuff like that. Another fun information was 3 million people in the United States have an income of $150,000 or more that are still renting. These people are still sitting on the fence, maybe because of interest rates or something. This is all just talking about the fact that what's coming in the future. They're looking at maybe 2025 being in the 3rd or 4th largest real estate history making event with transactions. So if you're sitting and waiting for rates to come down, buyers, so are the other buyers.
Exactly.
So right now, if you are a buyer and want to purchase a home, you have less competition because of this stall of many buyers. And if you're going to be looking for a house when the rates drop, guess how many other people are in the same boat thinking the same thing.
Well, and it's just what somebody said right before the podcast. It's not only for the new home buyers like your daughter, Raquel, to get out there and buy, but then you got the older generation that wants the smaller home that could be taking it from a percentage of those homes away from the first and second home buyer that wants to get a smaller home. Who said that here earlier?
I did. Yeah, it was a Redfin article I read last week or a couple weeks ago. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword. So that's what's going to push the housing prices up, and it's going to be batshit crazy, quite honestly.
Yeah,
you know what I
it's
mean?
like any number of things. I really think that once the market, the Fed and everybody realizes that the market's tanking, the rates will drop. I mean, it's not until the economy goes into a really bad spot that they're going to drop those rates to puff up the market, and I think that's going to happen.
Well, at least stop the increases.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, just to get a notification on the Feds are going to halt on the increases is a positive vibe, because you know what happens after they say that we're going to stop. We're done doing it. The other
Everybody
side of
will
the
come
fence.
out.
That's exactly right.
Well, and historically, rates go down in an election year, which we have that coming up, and then that will obviously increase the economy. And then whoever, if stay in office or somebody comes into office, they're going to want to take that as like, we're doing this, so they'll continue, and it'll that will lead into this 2025 situation.
Yeah, and the other person that spoke on this event was Dave Stevens, and he was the U.S. Assistant Secretary to the Federal Housing Commission. He's a 40-year veteran of the mortgage industry, so has seen this over and over and over again. And he absolutely states that economic indicators that rates are coming down. They will be coming down.
Of course.
So the other person that's sitting on the fence right now is sellers who have the 2 to 3% interest rate on their mortgage and saying,
why get rid of that house?
And 50 to 100% equity.
Right.
Yeah.
So they are going to be ready when they see the rates come down. Then all these sellers that are on the fence are going to put their house on the market. So we will have the influx of the buyers. We will have the influx of more inventory. But that would mean, too, for you as sellers who are waiting, that the prices are going to stabilize a little bit more because you're going to have more inventory against you. Right now, inventory is so low that you can get a higher price today. We aren't going to say that these prices are dropping drastically, will drop drastically. They just have more opportunity right now to make more on their home than they will in 2024, 2025 when these rates come down, because other sellers are, again, going to be the ones putting their house on the market. So everybody's kind of in a holding pattern unless you absolutely have to move or other reasons.
But the part they don't think about with that is every seller becomes a buyer. And now you're competing with that buyer pool again. And so you're going to lose your leverage again.
Great
and so maybe you do want to wait for this 10% increase. You're going to be paying it though, right? And possibly not, and you're going to be competing and maybe not getting houses and settling or whatever it may be. So
you could
every
have a higher
seller becomes a buyer.
Yeah, have a higher rate for a couple of years, refi when it comes down, and then you're going to have the equity. You're going to ride the equity up because the prices are going to continue to go up, and then you're going to have much more of a cushion whenever you refi.
Yeah. So I think what we're trying to circulate around is don't be waiting right now. If you really are thinking you might want to do this, you can refinance later.
Oh, easy.
Buyers.
That's what people don't take the leverage on. You're absolutely right. Buy the house right now. Put it on an arm. Even if it's a quarter better, put it on an arm right now, because you can go back and refinance it on another arm later.
But I do think, we talked about this a little bit before, like debt to income ratio does become an issue with your higher interest rates, right? So, it's a thing. I don't want to minimize that by no means, but at the same time, like when those rates come down, the house that you would buy with that higher rate because more of a limited DTI is now going to be a higher price in the first place.
Absolutely.
So it's still going to roll into the same situation.
Exactly.
So, but I mean, I get the conversation around it.
I'd rather buy a house today at 8%.
Yeah.
I'm saying 8%. There's articles out there that some areas are tapping on the door of 8%, like Shelley brought up earlier. I'd rather buy a house today at 8%, whatever the price is, versus waiting for that house, because you're going to lose equity position in the house. Forget the rate right now. You're going to lose equity position in the house, because just what you said and Shelley said and Justin said, that house is going to increase in value, and that's where the price war is going to start. Okay,
and then you got to be liquid to buy it because you got to have over list.
That's right.
Yeah, get back into the appraisal gap and all that.
Oh, my Lord.
Which we were saying, this is going to cause us to get back into a much more competitive market. Right now, we are not in a super competitive market, which is good, and it's relaxing a little bit for us. But getting back to that, the sellers are providing more concessions right now, is we can always remember that rate can have a 2-1 buy down from your seller, any type like that. So there's ways for us to work around this rate other than waiting on a refinance.
But do you think part of that conversation is it's really the expectation of what people can afford? And I think when rates went down low and you saw people, buying houses that were like still lower priced and they were getting good interest rates and they're buying, more expensive houses, like that was just like a little window. And so now, but people think that's what they can afford because somebody they know who like works at the same job or whatever does it, but that's gone.
Right. Or
like,
waiting to see that happen. Yeah. Waiting to see if it's
Yeah.
going to come back. We will never see those kind of rates. And we've also lost the window of housing being at a certain price. It's already exponentially gone up over the past 3 years. So prices are up, rates are up. We're not going back to the fairy tale of 2021.
Low price,
2020,
and low rate. Like
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
not gonna
You had some 30. You had a 30-year fixed out there a couple days that you could have snagged at 2.375 if you had the perfect situation. That's
It's unheard of. Almost,
it's unheard of.
Yeah.
Okay, 2.375, no points, no origination. You had about, at least in Indiana, you had about $2,100 in closing costs. Okay, I'm talking about a refinance or just a purchase. I'm not talking about all the other stuff, the escrows or anything. But you're right, Shelley. Just what you said. You're not going to see that anymore.
Well, and Kyle,
for a long time anyway.
Too, that was really interesting in regards to the fact that if buyers and sellers come to us and say, they've bought 5 homes. So go ahead. What you're talking about that.
Well, I mean, so we dealt with it over not this weekend, but the weekend before, right before 4th of July, and people would talk to me about, hey, I've bought or sold a home before. Like, I understand this, or they would compare like the game plan for how to go buy a house right now to that and what they did. I dealt with it. I represented a seller and we had a buyer, and it was a day and a half on market. And they're like, well, we're trying to get a deal and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm a day on market. I have multiple offers. And it was a good offer. And they're like, they want to get a deal. And I'm sorry, like, if you haven't bought a house in the past 3 years, like, it almost doesn't matter what your experience is, quite honestly.
Right.
Like I'm not trying to be
It's just changed that much.
Yeah, it is that different. I don't care if you bought 20 houses. Like, if you bought 20 houses 5 years ago, sweet. You have no idea what it's like to buy in this current market. You just don't, or sell in this market.
And I think we have to also state that if agents have just started or whatever and don't know how to navigate this market as well, when we get into these huge competitive market bids where we're looking at 5, 10, 15, 2 weeks ago my listing had 19 offers. These are unicorns in today's world. We used to talk about it every single day,
every house,
but still unicorns. But I will say there was some issues with the understanding of how this process works on all sides, and that doesn't help the buyers and sellers out there when we don't have complete education on what this market's like for all sides.
Yep. It's tough. It's tough, and it's a conversation between the other side and their client. It's a conversation between me and my client, but it impacts buyers' ability to get a house.
Absolutely.
It just does. Like, if I'm talking to an agent and I'm conveying an offer and it is not written well or correctly or within the realms of what we're looking at, I've seen good offers that could have been accepted if there were some changes to it to a certain extent, but based on a lack of understanding, did not get accepted. I think we've all seen it.
Yeah,
Oh
like
my God.
reach out to the agent before you put an offer in it. Ask them what's important to their sellers. If you're really trying to get an offer accepted right now, because the numbers I'm going to present, we had like 11 closings in all the areas. 9 of those were over ask price. But I'm sure a lot of it is terminology, what you're asking for, and what benefits the seller when you're doing something like that. Because you can even get it for a little bit less if you're trying to work with them on their terms.
One of the houses we listed, I got an offer. I just got an email with an offer. I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get a text. I didn't get feedback. I mean, I check my email all the time, so it's not a big deal. But
Especially
I'm like,
if you're waiting on offers.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like when you're in that process, you are on your email till midnight or whatever. Just keep up with it.
and to not like have somebody call out and just call me like, hey, there's one on the way and this is what we're doing and blah blah blah. And I know that seems like, well, you got the offer. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's a bigger deal than you think.
It's a big deal for their client.
Yeah.
So that happened to me on what I'm talking about. So I had 19 offers, and when I'm doing that, I do need other agents to be a little bit helpful in keeping me up to date with what they're up to, questions they have, because I'm dealing with a lot myself. But I got a phone call, and it was said in the listing when the offers were due by. So the offers were due by a certain time. Well, that evening, 5 hours later, I got a text from this agent. First time I've heard from her at all. And she said, I just want to make sure you did get our offer. We'd already accepted and pinned it on the MLS. I never saw an offer from her, but I never heard from her. And she was angry at me because I didn't let her know I didn't get it. And I'm like,
how would you know that?
How do I even? I might read minds a few times, but so instead of calling it to my attention, hey, just sent you an offer on 123 Main Street. Just want to make sure you received
Confirm
it.
receipt. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Her buyer thinks that offer was provided, but it wasn't even never received. I looked in my spam. I looked everywhere. I mean, I'm thinking, oh God, what did I do? But I can't.
Never happened.
No, I can't know unless I get told.
Yep. I don't know. It's an ever-changing market. I think that's what people don't understand. Like, especially seasonally here in Indiana, it's almost like every season is a different market. So
The other thing that was very interesting that Brian stated is that he sees, wouldn't this be interesting, the seasonality come back. Remember, we've talked so many times on the podcast about, spring coming up. And It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's November. It doesn't matter if it's January. It doesn't matter anymore. He said he sees the seasonality coming back in the next 2 years as something to normalize things, which wouldn't that be awesome to even be able to tell your clients, here's what normally happens. We can't even say that word today.
Yeah.
until I got to talk to my wife in the spring and be like, I'll see you in July.
Well, yeah,
That's exactly right.
Well, that's better than talking to her January 1st and saying,
Yeah, no
her
kidding.
December 31st, because it was just one big year of
That's
craziness.
what it's been like. It's just been nonstop for 3 years.
And he talked a lot about that. Buyer or agent fatigue is huge, and just been a lot to keep up with. So I know we do our best to keep up with everything.
Well, hey, Shelley, let's talk about what you're seeing in the market here in Carmel. And thank you for the update on Brian Buffini. Okay, I think that's really important. What are you seeing in Carmel right now as listings and traffic?
So in Carmel, everything was pretty light on listings hit the market. So in Carmel, 30 of them hit the market in the past 7 days. Only 10 pended with an average day of 14 and a median of 4 for that 7 days. So the pendings and their days on market are staying about steady.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it go up. I'm not seeing it come down. It's just very steady from the week over week. 2022, 54 homes had hit the market, and so 30, half amount that hit the market this week as last year. Currently active in.
Well, do you think a little bit of that is also because of 4th of July too? I mean, I know it's year
it
to
was
year.
4th of July last year as well.
Well, you got it. You got it.
So I'm just kind of looking at last year because the inventory is so down, and
Right,
that
and
gets
interest
back
rates.
to why are sellers not putting their house on the market, and it's the interest rate issue more than likely.
I think you're right.
Currently active, we have 96 on the market. Only 32 are new builds, and last year at the same week, 123 were active. So we're very low on inventory compared to even a year ago, and last year was low. Sold 142 sold in the past 30 days. 15 were new builds, so we just don't have a lot of new builds being sold in Carmel. And days on market were average 15 and median 4, staying right there with the days on market.
Okay.
Westfield 23 hit the market. 40 were on the market a year ago. So again, half hit the market this year. 9 of those pended. Average is 21 days on market, and 12 is the median, so a little higher in Westfield. Currently active, they have 180 in Westfield on the market, but 110 are new builds. So 110 maybe not even out of the ground yet.
Absolutely.
So we're really looking at 70 resales, and 1 year ago 144 were active. So there's more inventory, but I think that's just really a lot of new builds online. Currently, past 30 days, 152 sold, and the average days on market was 35, and the median was 8. In Zionsville, 9 hit the market, and they were one of those pended, so not very many of those. Their average days on market were 32 and median 20 for the past 7 days. And then currently active, there's 60 on the market. And then in the past 30 days, 55 have sold with an average days of 10 and median of 4. And then looking at the past for 2 years ago, there were 44 active in Zionsville, so there's 55 this year, so it's a little more.
Well, the traffic's obviously definitely changed.
Yeah.
And it is obviously a little bit slower market. And I think interest rates have a lot to do with that, as we've talked about. Let's move over to Big Daddy himself, Kyle Morris.
So I would say everything stayed steady state as well. I feel like we're down a little bit with the numbers from last week, but to your point, Tony, it was a holiday week.
Yeah.
And I didn't run the numbers from the week before, and we took last week off, right, for the holiday. But the weekend before 4th of July was really, it was busy for me. It was busy for you. I believe it was busy for you. And so, I bet if I did 2 weeks, it would actually be a normal number that we see week over week is just a little bit disproportionate. In Fishers, we had 25 go on the market, anywhere from 235 to just under 2.3 million. Only 6 of them pended. There's 19 of those still active, but 25 total pended, which is like a total 100% absorption rate for that week. 17 days on market, 8 median. There's 116 active, and if I look back 2 weeks ago, there was 113 active, right? And then same for Noblesville. 23 went on the market, anywhere from 194 to 785. Only 5 of those pended. So there's 18 of those still active. That just went on the market this past week, right? But 26 total, which is over 100% absorption rate. And there's still 115 on the market there, 19 days on market, 10 days, median. So I would say we have stayed around there the better part of a month, anywhere between 100 and 116 active homes on the market any given week.
All right. Justin, let's get into Meridian Kessler and Broad Ripple.
Yeah, the numbers are down quite a bit over last year. Week to week, still a little low. We had 4 new actives hit Meridian Kessler, one of which pended, and there are 3 others that pended as well. And we had 8 closings, average price of $410. Days on the market were 13, and those were priced anywhere from $199 to $596. It's actually a really low price range for Meridian Kessler.
Yeah, that is.
Well,
Yeah,
but as we talked, it goes all the way down to 38. Right?
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Broad Ripple, we had 3 new hit the market, which is 12 total on the market. Last year, we were about 30, so we're down quite a bit. We had 3 penned this week and 2 closings, average price at $325. The days on the market and the median were both the same at 2. Bates Hendricks, we had 2 new hit the market, none of which pended, which now have 8 total on the market, priced anywhere from $235 to $579, and we had 1 closing at $300. And lastly, Fountain Square, we had 3 new hit the market, one of which pended, and we had 1 closing at $549. I had 77 days on the market. That was the other thing I was going to say too. So on my pendings, most of the pendings I would say were beyond the last 7 days. Even 30, 40, 50 days out now. So I think some of those stagnant listings are starting to move too, just because of price, and there's just no inventory.
So I sold one in Fountain Square. It was on the market 20 days. We penned it like a week and a half ago. And I was never worried about it because the average days on market, we did. That's just what you got. You got some inventory down there. We had multiple second showings, because people knew there's a decent amount of inventory down there and there wasn't as big of a rush. And so going back to as an agent, I knew that we didn't adjust a price or anything like that because I knew that's what that market was dictating was there's enough. People were being patient, and that doesn't mean that you actually needed to change. You just need to be patient.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, Shelley, what's your words for people that are thinking about selling this week or next week in this market? Like,
I think you should definitely be thinking of putting your house on the market. There's the potential that houses will start to hit the market more and more. And the less competition you have, the better ability you're going to have to get more money for your house. But still, I don't see us ever getting to the point where it's going to be a buyer's market and sellers aren't going to get a good deal. But just know sellers need to understand they're probably going to do a little bit more concessions right now. But there's the ability to get your house sold is very strong right now.
Perfect. And if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do it?
You can reach me on my cell phone anytime, 317-201-2601.
And what company do you work for?
I'm with FC Tucker, Shelley Walters Realty Group.
Kyle, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and talk to you about selling their mobile home, how would they get a hold of you, please? I'm joking. Mobile home.
Well, it would have to be on foundation first. Of course. It's Kyle Morse it's Morse Property Group with FC Tucker. It's 317-649-5122. But to her point, I would have the conversation about what the next move is, not the sell. Right?
Yeah,
because that's
exactly
the bigger thing. It's like, we can definitely sell your house. You're going to get a lot for it. Like, let's get pre-approved. Let's see how much you're going to make off of this. And you have a little bit of time to like not be as rushed to like jump into it and start looking, or go build. I've got a lot of people who are selling and building because, like it or not, builders have a ton of lower interest rates because they bought them a year ago, right? And so like there is some luxury there as a seller if you actually get a hold of us and like, hey, in the next like 90 days, I'd like to list my house. What are my options? Instead of saying, hey, I want to sell my house
Exactly.
next week, right?
Yep.
So it's more about the timeline.
Right. Okay. And Justin, what's your words of wisdom for a buyer or seller, and how can somebody get a hold of you, please?
Patience is virtue. You can get inspections. You can get all kinds of things right now if you're buying. People wanting to work together, get through these deals, collectively. And I think that's the game plan for everybody. Reach me at 317-507-5599 and fishers.realestate.
Okay, everybody. Hey, thank you for listening this week. We'll talk to you next week. I appreciate everybody coming on the show, and hopefully we're keeping our fingers crossed for rates to go down. I don't think it's going to happen in the next weeks or so, but you know what? I think they're coming. And even with a little bit more price increases, then I think the show's going to change a little bit. All right. We'll see everybody later. Thank you.